The gentle art of tending the earth. From which town or village are you watching us today? Write in the comments. It is curious to know where folks are beginning to plant carrots now. Amos Yoder's voice carries softly through the calm morning air as he addresses the gathered family around the garden patch. And you, when did you first plant potatoes? Tell us, from which sprout did your garden journey begin? The young Ephraim King, eager-eyed and attentive, scribbles the words. This is not mere talk. It is a weaving of souls with the earth, a communion of hearts with the soil. The elder Amos, steady as an old oak, begins to share the gentle wisdom that has traveled down through generations like a sacred thread, from Elisha Lapp's ancient hands to his own. Amos kneels beside the rich, dark earth, the scent of tilled soil rising like a prayer into the morning. Our forebears taught us this truth: the land does not favor haste. Zemziem stellt nicht Stigkeit, as our own kin would say. Earth needs a slow, loving touch. When planting carrots, one must first prepare the bed with tender care, tilling only as much as the soil asks for, so that the earth's breath is not stifled. Melinda Fisher nods gently, adding, "We sow the tiny seeds in neat rows, about a finger's width apart, covering them lightly with the soil, no more than a soft whisper deep. Then we wait and watch with patient eyes, knowing each sprout is a gift, not a guarantee." In this quiet ritual, the soil is not simply dirt, but a living book that holds the stories of seasons past. Amos recounts the method for potatoes, those humble tubers that sustain many a hearty meal. We begin with setting the seed potatoes in soil that is loose and rich with compost, placed belly down, spaced wide enough to let each plant breathe under the sun and shade alike. The earth covers them gently, and as the sprouts reach toward light, we hill the soil around their legs to protect and nourish. Nearby, Reuben Stoltzfus, the wise neighbor, shares a thoughtful smile. It is handwork that teaches you the language of the land. The machine may turn the dirt, but only hands can feel its heart. Beans call for a different song, a call to partnership with nature's rhythm. You plant beans after the threat of frost has passed, setting each seed in furrows watered with morning dew, Amos explains. Their vines climb up the sturdy poles we set like sentinels in the garden, reaching ever upward, teaching us about perseverance and grace. Damaris Miller then weaves her folk tales, picturing the bean plant as a ladder between earth and sky, a bridge between the labor of man and the blessings of providence. She whispers stories from old quarters, how the bean carries with it the promise of lean times eased by generous harvest. And then there's the pumpkin, the great gift of the autumn. Amos's hands gently peel the vine around the young fruit as he speaks. Pumpkins need room, wide and free, for their tendrils to stretch as though embracing the sun. When planting, we lay the seeds in hills of soil sweetened with aged manure, a richness that humbles us. We guard the young fruits as tender as a mother with a newborn, knowing that the earth's bounty is never to be taken for granted. Hiram Zook, the keeper of family spiritual customs, nods, reminding all that the pumpkin is not merely food, but a symbol of abundance, a circle of life and thanksgiving. Amos's voice softens further as he turns to the care of the garden as a whole. The soil is our oldest friend, he murmurs, and it needs kindness, not just from the hand, but from the heart. We never overwork the land. Rest seasons, cover crops, and the humble act of weeding by hand keep the spirit of the earth alive and its body strong. We turn no machines that wrench might with steel and noise. Our labor is quiet, steady, and full of reverence. Ephraim takes these lessons to heart, feeling the weight and blessing of a wisdom passed from elders like Elisha Lapp, who once said, "The ground rewards not the hurried, but the humble." At dusk, Melinda gathers the family around the fire to speak softly of gratitude. For each carrot pulled, each potato unearthed, each few beans picked, and each shining pumpkin carried home, we give thanks, she says. It is not merely the fruit of the land we harvest, but peace, patience, and purpose. Hiram adds a blessing, let no ear hear the work, but the whisper of the earth and the song of the wind. Let silence be the music that honors our toil. The evening wraps around them like a gentle quilt, the day's lessons settling deeply like seeds in fertile ground. In this way, through quiet hands and steady hearts, the garden flourishes as a living testament to ancient truths. Amos's words linger in the cool night air, reminding all that trust in the land is trust in life itself. His gaze meets Ephraim's, who is ready now to walk the path of the earth's caretakers, to feel the pulse of the soil under his palms, and to hum the sacred songs told by Damaris. Thus the lineage of care continues, hand to hand, soul to soil, as a humble prayer and a joyful craft. And so, as night fades gently into dawn, the family rests knowing the garden will awake anew. Their story is not merely one of planting, but of living in harmony with the world's quiet rhythms. The soil waits, the seeds sleep beneath the dark, and the hands that sow will shape the next chapter of this timeless story. Hands in the soil, heart with the land. From which town or village do you watch us? Write in the comments. It is curious where the planting of carrots begins these days, Amos Yoder said, his voice gentle, like the breeze caressing the fields. Beside him stood Ephraim King, keen-eyed and eager, absorbing every word as though the earth itself whispered ancient secrets. Amos's hands, weathered yet tender, dug softly into the cool soil where the first row of carrots awaited planting. You see, he continued, the carrot is the earth's quiet treasure, needing patient hands to place each seed with care, a small prayer beneath the soil. Melinda Fisher, with a knowing smile, bent over the potato bed nearby. And tell me, friends, she called aloud, when did you first plant your potatoes? Was it a humble beginning with one sprout or many? Share the seed of your story so our community may grow together. Her fingers traced the rows carefully, the earth moist and rich beneath her touch. Potatoes are born of the earth's embrace, and we must treat them with reverence, covering them gently as a mother would tuck a child, keeping them warm and safe beneath the layers of soil. Elisha Lapp, the venerable elder and keeper of old ways, stepped closer, his voice a soft echo of generations past. Remember, the earth is sacred and does not respond well to the roar of machines. Our forebears taught us that the land loves the slow hand and humble heart. The soil, when turned by hands and simple tools, breathes and sings, as it were, a living spirit, welcoming every seed as a promise. His eyes twinkled with the truth carried through time, a wisdom embracing silence and gratitude alike. Reuben Stoltzfus nodded knowingly, settling beside them with quiet dignity. To cultivate without the hum of engines, he murmured, is to honor the covenant between man and land. Each furrow plowed by hand is a testament of devotion, every seed sown a prayer whispered into the fruitful dark. The soil's patience is unending, but it thrives only when met with gentle toil and unhurried affection. His words hung in the air like incense, a call to slower ways and mindful labor. Ephraim bent to the earth once more, his youthful spirit inspired by the stories woven between the rows and the lessons passed from Amos and Melinda. And what of beans? He asked, eager and reverent. How do we honor them as they climb the heavens from the furrows? Amos chuckled softly. A fair question, lad. Beans are a dance between earth and sky. We plant them near the sturdy stalks of corn or the humble trellis, for they offer their gifts upward, but need the ground's blessing first. The soil, enriched by last year's compost, must be loose and dark, for it is the cradle from which life rises. Damaris Miller, ever the teller of folk wisdom, chimed in with a melody in her voice. Let us not forget the pumpkin, that round beacon of autumn's bounty. When planting the pumpkin, we do so with hands full of thanks, for its vines promise shelter and sweetness. The seeds must be planted wide apart, the earth cooled by evening's shade and warmed by joyous toil. There is a story among our people. The pumpkin grows true where gratitude is sown deep. Her laughter sprinkled like gentle rain, a reminder that joy and work are intertwined beneath the sun. Hiram Zook, guardian of the family's spiritual custom, stepped forward with reverence. "In our homes," he intoned softly, "we hold sacred the moments of silence amidst the labor. It is in the quiet where the earth reveals her mysteries, and the heart listens for the blessings of harvest. The sweat upon our brow connects us to Abraham and Isaac, to the fields of Ephrath. Gratitude is more than words. It is the very breath we offer the land for each sustenance it grants." His presence was a living prayer, reminding all that work and worship are entwined. Amos smiled and looked toward the horizon, his gaze steady and warm like the setting sun. "The soil tells us that hurry is the enemy of growth," he reflected, his voice as steady as the soil beneath their feet. "In the act of planting, we practice patience, honoring God's timing and the earth's rhythms. Hands in the soil, heart with the land. This is the path our ancestors walked and the journey we continue." Ephraim, absorbing these words, felt a deepening sense of responsibility and joy in the simple acts of tending and sowing. The group moved then to prepare the soil, their hands gently turning the earth without haste or clamor. Amos explained, "Machine may turn the dirt faster, but it cannot tell the land, 'I thank you.' To work the soil by hand is to enter into a sacred covenant. It knows our touch. It breathes with each fold we turn, becoming alive beneath the prayerful fingers of those who cherish it." Melinda added with a smile, "And so we keep our soil rich, by adding compost, by resting the fields, and by whispering love into the earth with every seed we plant." As twilight deepened, Reuben shared a last thought. "Remember the words of our grandmothers and grandfathers, that the land does not own us, but we serve her with humility. Every carrot, every potato, every bean and pumpkin is a gift granted through toil, marked by stillness and grace." He looked around, inviting all to reflect. What did your elders say about the soil? What stories did they pass as you began your own humble farmstead? Tell these tales so the wisdom may live beyond us. The settling dusk held a holy hush, as each soul felt the invisible threads woven between them and the earth. In this quiet reverence, the value of every planted seed and every drop of sweat became clear. They were blessings, prayers, and the very breath of life. Now, with hands steady and hearts full, they were ready to continue their sacred task, carrying the ancient promises forward until the next dawn, when the earth would once again receive their humble offerings. And so the sun set on the day of planting, the soft murmur of the land's heart beating in rhythm with their own, as they prepared to enter the sacred stillness of night, mindful that tomorrow's harvest begins in today's patience. This they knew. To honor the earth is to honor life itself, and the dance of seed and soil is the oldest song ever sung. With quiet steps and open hearts, they moved on, ready for what the morrow would bring, harvesting blessings through time and tradition. From what village or town do you watch us? Write it in the comments. It is a blessing to know where the journey of planting carrots begins. Those words of Amos Yoder carry like the soft whisper of wind through corn stalks. He stands in his worn straw hat amid earth tilled by patient hands. And you, dear neighbors, when did you first set a potato into the soil? Tell us what sprouted your own path in tending the garden. His voice folds into the morning quiet, inviting the wisdom of those who cultivate with loving care. The family gathers close, for in our hearts we know, as Melinda Fisher often says, the earth does not answer the impatient. This timeless counsel is as sure as the sunrise, passed down by Elisha Lapp, our village elder, who keeps the sacred traditions alive. Amos turns to the soft furrows before him. the rich soil sleeping under a quilt of dawn mist. Carrots, he begins, are like a promise whispered to the earth. We choose the choicest seeds, plant them in rows in well-loosened ground, neither too deep nor shallow. Careful hands must press the soil, for it is the earth's own cloak, offering warmth and shelter. It needs gentle watering, not flooding, to nurture the tender shoots. His eyes twinkle with memories. My father said, "To plant a carrot is to plant a poem of patience." Nearby, Reuben Stoltzfus nods, his weathered cheeks telling of countless seasons spent with seeds and wind against his face. Potatoes ask for a different kind of watching, Amos continues softly, kneeling to examine the earth. We cut the tubers into pieces, each with eyes that dream of new life. They go to bed in trenches made straight by hands, guided, not machines. Earth laid over them must breathe, so we cover loosely, letting strength grow in the stillness. Ephraim King, young as the dewy fields, studies intently, his heart absorbing the care etched into each shared gesture. The soil, Amos adds, prefers to be worked by hand. The rhythm of hoe and hand cultivates not just crops, but reverence, a conversation between man and land. Melinda brings forward the baskets, fragrant with the promise of the coming harvest. Beans and pumpkins waiting to climb and burst into sunshine glory. Beans, she says, are children of the vine, needing poles strong as the will of those who tend them. Plant them near the warmth of the beans' keeps, and the earth will cradle their climbing song. She smiles gently. The pumpkin, she is the lantern of the garden, her thick tapestries of leaf and vine guarding treasures beneath. Plant her in rich ground, feed her with compost, and give her room to spread wide as a generous heart. She traces a line in the soil, murmuring a blessing. From tiny seed to glowing fruit, patience dances with labor. Elisha Lapp's voice weaves through the lesson like a sacred psalm. Remember, to work the land is to honor the Creator's gift. The soil is our covenant, a living scripture under our feet. When we tend it by hand, silence falls like holy oil, and the Spirit speaks. Gratitude for each blade, each whisper of growth, fills our souls with harvest's true wealth. Hiram Zook, keeper of ritual and song, adds softly, "In this labor, the noise of the world fades, the earth's slow heartbeat becomes our own." We learn meditation in the turning of soil and prayer in the patience of growth. Amos looks toward the fields etched by generations, where carrots, potatoes, beans, and pumpkins entwine in quiet communion. Labor is our language, he says. With hands, not machines, we speak to the earth. From the first seed we plant to the last harvest we gather, the land teaches humility and joy. Each crop is a blessing, a testament to faithful toil and the gentle whisper of creation. Ephraim feels the weight and grace of such words settle within him, a tender belonging to this ancient rhythm. Melinda's careful hands feed compost into tired earth. It is the heart of the soil we must care for. When we nurture the ground with the scraps of life and the breath of decay, it returns blessing tenfold. This sacred cycle honors the harmony we must keep with nature's laws. Reuben stoops to plant a row of beans, weaving stories of old days when machines had no place in these fields of faith. The earth resists haste, he says, and in her silence she teaches the value of slow, mindful tending. The circle of gardeners echoes in soft agreement, their voices a quiet hymn to endurance and hope. As the sun arcs toward its midday throne, Amos recalls the wisdom shared by Hiram. Work with the soil in reverence, for it is the altar of our daily bread. The sweat of our brow, the calluses on our hands, they are marks of covenant and blessing. In this light, the humble acts of planting and tending transcend labor. They are acts of worship. Damaris Miller, the storyteller, softly intones from the sidelines, "In every furrow lies a story, in every seed a seed of faith." Our families, our people, pass down this sacred knowledge like a flame carried through the dark, lighting the way for seasons yet to come. The evening draws near with the quiet grace of a well-loved hymn. Amos stands with Ephraim, watching the rows of freshly planted earth, fertile and full of promise. We walk a long path, Amos says, from the hand-drawn spade to the laden harvest table. Each step is a prayer, each seed a testament. We labor with humility and live in gratitude. The gift of the earth is given freely. It is our duty to care for it gently, with reverence as deep as the roots that bind us. Ephraim's gaze follows the golden light fading into dusk, feeling the embrace of knowledge that has forged the very soil beneath their feet. As the voices fall into peaceful silence, the garden breathes with quiet life. Carrots dream beneath soil, potatoes set to grow in gentle dark, beans begin to reach for the sky, and pumpkins wait their turn to light the harvest home. This is the sacred circle of life, the harvest blessing through time and tradition. The story of land cared for by patient, loving hands is not finished, but opens like a field ready for the next planting season, a story we all share and carry forward with hope and humble hearts.